We covered a lot of different techniques in this chapter, so I found it hard to come up with an exercise in which you can practice all of these together. I decided that I'm going to give you a starting point which can serve as the structure, and then you can feel free to combine and select the techniques that you preferred and try to apply it to your own work. All you will need is to have something circular in the middle, and then we will add the text above and below this to create like a badge. And it is a very common technique of visually organizing things together and creating an emblem where you have text going around a circular shape. So to create this, first of all, what I'm going to do is to draw another circle, holding down the Shift key and placing it here. I'm going to make sure that it is just using a simple black outline, but no fill. That way I can see both the original shape and this. And I'm going to arrange them, making sure that it's perfectly aligned to each other. And one of these circles won't be enough. So what I will do is I go to the layers panel, and having the ellipse selected, I'm going to use edit, copy, and then edit paste in front. So I have two of them prepared. But for now, I'm going to turn off one of them. Then I switch to the type tool, and I'm going to hold down the Alt key or Option key and click on the outline. Now that immediately fills it up completely with text. But what I'm going to do here is to type in typography, and switching to the, actually while we have this text selected, I can make it bigger and maybe even use the same style that we saved before. There you go. So we have typography. Now we can switch to the direct selection tool. And remember what I mentioned earlier, that I like to keep the endpoint at 3 o'clock when it comes to circular type, and the starting point I like to keep at 9 o'clock. Then I use center text, and that makes sure that the text will sit perfectly on top of the circular shape in the center. Now I can go back and make changes to the size of the text or even the style of it. I might use the inline version, which is quite nice. If I want, I can pick a similar color to what we have here. I actually have them saved here in the swatches, so that makes everything easier. Something like that. That looks good. Now I just want to kern the text a bit. Alt left and right arrow, make sure that the A is not overlapping the other characters next to it, but then between O and G we can reduce the distance, and there and there and there as well. Maybe between H and Y as well we can reduce the distance. That looks quite good. Maybe a little bit more kerning between P and H. I'm very fussy about kerning, so you see me constantly going back and forth making changes to that. But I think that looks quite nice here on the top. So now what I'm going to do is to copy this text. So I double click and select the word, copy it, and then I'm going to actually hide it for now. I turn the other ellipse back on, use the type tool and Alt click on it again. And then I just place the same text in and change it to adventures, like that. Okay, now I'm just going to change the color of this maybe to yellow. Let's see if that's still strong enough. Yeah, I think it's fine. So having this placed here is good, but that's not the way I wanted to use it. So in this case, the start point will need to be in a different position, and also the end point. But more importantly, what I want is the text to go not from right to left at the bottom, but to go from left to right. Otherwise we can't really read it. And the key here is to swap the orientation of the text. You might remember this center line. That's what we need to grab and drag inside this circle, like so. So now if I drag the start point up to 9 o'clock, and then this one, the other point, the start point or end point in this case, now that we turn it around, we drag it to 3 o'clock. Because we used already center aligned text, that works perfectly fine. Now the only problem is that the text is too close to the actual shape. So we need to resize the circle. So what I will do is Alt Shift drag the corner points until it's far away or far enough from the shape. And now comes the point when we can turn the other text back in. With that one, I feel like it's a little bit too far away. So I'm going to reduce the size of that and get it closer until it feels like they are the same distance away from the circle. And here now I just have to check this bottom text size, which is 58.5. Maybe we can just even that up to 60, something like that. Then I select the other text and I just simply type that in 60. So I usually do this at the end to make sure that both the top and the bottom has the same text size. And then let's not forget about kerning, my favorite. I can add a bit of space here at the bottom to make sure that these rotated text doesn't overlap. But wherever it's possible, I can move characters closer to each other. Once again, it is the Alt or Option left and right arrows that I'm using. So you can reach this result in many different ways, but I just thought I'd show you this technique when you want to have text running on top and below a circular shape. I found this way of doing it, or this method, to be the most efficient. And you can try to copy me and do it exactly the same way, or you can explore and combine other techniques that we talked about, or even to approach this last exercise in a completely different composition. There's so much you can do with Type in Illustrator, and I hope now you are just as excited as me about this topic. So make sure you practice and explore ways of combining the different techniques that we talked about. And once you feel confident about everything we covered, you can move on to the next chapter where we will be exploring even more exciting things, the advanced techniques in Illustrator.